Yeah, so please introduce yourself, a small introduction, and then we can like move towards the session.
Sure, sure. Okay, so my name is Aishwarya Dabir. I think most of you knew me as Aishwarya Hola before this, so I'm reintroducing myself right now. I've been working as a freelancer for the past 3 years now, and I mainly work with website content. But of course, other than that, I'm a content writer, I'm a copywriter, marketer, and whatever else is available out there. So yeah, try to keep it as short as possible.
Right. So, moving towards the website content specifically, let's start with what actually the website content is all about and what are the different types of it. I guess there are types of websites, so there will be types of website content as well. So, yeah, starting with that.
Mm-hmm. Actually, before I start, I want to ask people of how much they know about website content so that I get an idea of how much they're aware of. So, if anyone can tell me how much they know about website content or what they exactly think about it or know about it, can anyone let me know?
Website content is content which is for which we form or create for a website. We write an information, a set of information that we write for a website.
Mm-hmm.
Website it is. I'm just trying.
No, don't worry. I'm glad. I just want to know. That's why I just want to make this a little more interactive. So yeah. Anyone else?
Right. So, for me, like website content is all you can, which is written on a website, like a home section, about section, services section. So these have their own importance, and people get to visit the website. So there is like when they figure out whether they have to go with the service or product or not. So I guess that content is really important, and like you will be explaining us the whole thing. But what I know, because people just visit on the website or the social media of any company or firm they want to go with a service or a product. So that content is actually really important, and if that is compelling, that is fulfilling their demands. So that is there is when the firm's work is completed. So that is like, I guess they keep that in mind, that the content is really speaking to the people itself about the service or product they are providing.
Right. So let me get into this. So first of all, I think you guys would have all observed, right? So there's a lot of different kinds of websites. People do it for their individual selves. They do it either for their business, they do it for their companies, or they have personal websites, or they have even just random websites. Some people I've observed, they have random websites, but there's different kinds of websites. Now, as a content writer, now mainly I do work with startups or business individuals or corporates, right? So the writing style is again completely different from what you would for a personal website. So that's what I'm going to focus on more today, because that's, I think, what people are approached more for regarding work as well. Okay, so first of all, you need to understand that even in websites, there's, I would say, mainly two. There's like a single page website, and there's a multi-page website, right? A single page website is basically, even if you access it from your phone or your laptop, it's just one single page from top to bottom. You just scroll all the way down, all the home page, the about section, your services, and your contact page. Everything is in one single page from top to bottom, regardless of whether you access it from the phone or your laptop, right? And a multi-page is where again you have like 4, 5, 6 or more pages, and in those 4, 5 pages, each of those pages will have again subsections, right? Supposing you have a home page, about us page, and the product page, then a blog section and a contact us page. Now again, in the services page, you'll have subcategories of I don't know, maybe 10 products. See, things vary like that. So I'm just trying to explain you how many types of things there are there. And also the layout of a website varies when you actually do it on a laptop and a phone, which sometimes clients do not know in advance. All they say is that, I want a website, can you do it for me? Can you just write the content? What I'm saying is, even writing style, the content varies. So you need to make sure of that as well when you're talking to people. Okay.
Right.
And
because in the
hi,
mobile,
Pushkar.
because in the
Yeah.
mobile it has a responsiveness feature also. So that is how
Right.
the content varies, because in the three figures showing in laptop, they come in the round figures, like in one by one. In the
It
mobile,
does.
if we see, right? So that how the content also varies, and we have to keep in mind while writing the content as well, that how
Yeah.
it looks.
Yeah. I'll go a little more deep into that later. I'm just like giving an overview for people to understand, right? So again, regardless of whether it's a single page or multi-page website, there's again two types, right? There's a dormant website and there's an active website. So now a dormant website, okay, let me give you a best example. Supposing you go for a real estate website. There's usually just information and then just a couple of pictures, and only in the end there's one thing to contact the company or something like that. That's about it. There's no action going on the page. It's dormant, it's idle. There's not too much activity going on that page. Now if you go for an active website, you have more things going on. Supposing if a person has like a couple of courses on that page, or yeah, your mic is off, Pushkar. So if you have a couple of courses your people are logging into, or if you have some other kind of activity which is leading them from one page to the other, so your website is kind of active, right? Each page is leading them to the next. So again, for that, so that is called an active website, and there again more content is needed than required. So there, the main page content varies from the second page which it leads to. So there's a lot of things to consider when you're actually writing the content in that way. So this is just basics of how many types of websites there are and what people look into. But yeah, wait. So do you guys have any questions so far? Let me just go step by step. I feel like right now I'm in a classroom and I have to just ask. Also, guys, please feel free to talk in between or switch on your cameras in between. You guys don't have to stay so silent.
Till now, I don't find any questions related to what you just have discussed. So I guess we can move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So after the different types of website content, can you just explain how to actually write about that different parts of a website content that we usually have? Like, I know that it varies from website to website, but the main parts like a home page or a about us page or a services page, what points should we keep in mind while writing these pages in a website?
Okay, so somehow this is simple yet tricky at the same time. Like once you get the hang of it, I guess it gets simple. But this first of all depends on every client and every business you're writing for, right? So first and foremost, you need to understand what your topic is all about. Now, you can't write a travel website as same as a tech website. There's a lot of difference in the way you write things and the way you depict things. And you also have to keep in mind the kind of designs which might go on the page. It's not you're not just giving the content. You have to also give them an idea of how the placement should be and how the designer might incorporate their designs into it. Like supposing if you're giving them banner content, right? The moment you open a home page, you see on the top there's a banner, right? Some people put a banner image. What if you give banner content and that the designer is not even planning on putting a banner image? Right, and you need to kind of be in sync with their designer, whoever is doing it all along, or at least use your client as a middleman to know what they're planning to put into it, right? And you need to ask your client of what they want. Do they want a simplistic website? So there are websites which are very simple, one-liners or two-liners for every description in every page, and they're done. And some people require in detail information on each page, which are like at least 1,000 words long or something like that. It's up to them. And some people prefer that, keep their home pages simple, and then when they go to their product page, or when you click on the small product description, it takes them to another page where it's more descriptive and in detail, right? So all of these things you have to, so if you're writing something in detail later, keep the initial content small. Don't reveal everything in the first itself. You want people to go through your website, not just come onto your homepage and just leave, right? So what you have to do is always keep your homepage is the most important, first of all. So make it most attractive, make it most appealing, that people will be compelled to read through your entire website. They should want to go for more. So that's for that you got to learn a lot of copywriting skills, to be honest. So a lot of copywriting is involved in website content, because you need to know how to sell your work. You need to know how to sell the work of your business, of your client's business, or whatever it is they're doing, right? So always keep the homepage content much shorter, accurate, but compelling enough. It needs to be, supposing you tell that, okay, supposing you buy an ice cream. Okay, I can tell as something as simple as, okay, I bought an ice cream which has 3 different flavors, 3 scoops of different flavors. Or I can tell, describe it in a much more epic way, saying that, okay, one flavor was made from luscious, freshly plucked strawberries, and then the other was some decadent, rich chocolate, or something like that. There's a difference in how you describe it. So use those copywriting skills to make them go forward. And even in the descriptive pages which you write, don't make it boring. It's not your college essay. People are not going to read the whole thing. And we've all been there, done it. I mean, where, the college essays, the first and last line is the same. And then beech mein kuch bhi ghusa diya, we just put in whatever we want. It's not that. Please don't do that. So always break it down. You don't have to write chunks and blocks of paragraphs. Use bullet points, or break it down into 2-liner phrases. Or even better, what I personally like to do, I tell my client that please incorporate your images into this, your product images or your business images or something like that. So if there's more images, it becomes more visually attractive, right? So with each image, I incorporate a appropriate tagline or some appropriate piece of content there. So it makes it much more easy to read, and it gets better. So yeah, I think it just goes on like that.
Yeah, we have a question. So should we take questions now or at the end?
Oh, we can take it in between. I'd love it if you guys could actually ask me in person.
Yeah, you can switch on your mics and ask.
You can talk to me in between, guys.
So Astha, can you ask your question or?
Yeah. Where's Astha? I'm trying to search for her.
Astha. Okay, I'll tell you the question. How to maintain the flow of content while writing a website copy? How to maintain the flow?
Okay, this is honestly quite simple. It is similar to any piece of content that you write. Always have an outline of what you want to include, right? Supposing I have 5 pages I want to include in this particular client's website, right? Always, okay, in your homepage, I want like just a brief description about the company or what they do, right? And then the product page, do you want to include all the products, or is there some secret product they're like, okay, there's something we're going to reveal soon or something? You got to talk all of this with your clients, right? Communication is key. So ask them if they want to include everything, or they just want to highlight the key products or something like that. And then some people want to put in their history, like since how long they've been doing all of this and all of that. Again, ask them how much they want to include and what they don't want to include. And these clients usually give some reference websites or something which they want the content to be similar to, right? Observe what they've done in that. See what you like and don't like. If they've given you 3 or 4 reference websites, open all of them. That's what I do. Open all of them. See what you like in each of the websites and see what you don't like. You can do a mix and match, right? You don't have to, like, again, please don't copy, no plagiarism. Just take inspiration from the designs and the copies and the style of writing, what they've done. Supposing I like the graphic descriptions in this one, and I like some more in detailed content in another one. So I kind of incorporate the two into one, right? So always make an outline, see what you want, and then once you write it down on a book or in your Word document or whichever it is, right? If you don't like the flow, rechange it, like reorder it, rearrange it to how you think it will look better. And then make your first draft. Make your draft. Until you make your draft, you won't get to know whether you like it or not. There's a lot of times I write it and I hate it and I redo the whole thing. Just rearrange it. You don't have to delete it. Keep working on different sets of copies until you're satisfied with it, right? But I think the outline is the key to it. Just rearrange it in the order which you think would make most sense as like for a website, and then you should be able to get the flow. Content writers. Asta, I hope that answers your question. Vaishali, should content writers also keep SEO in mind while writing content for the website? I see. Some clients are very specific that they want SEO based content. If that is the case, then very much so, yes. But honestly, SEO it just depends on how well you write the content, regardless of SEO or not. Like, okay, to tell you a hidden truth, I have never done SEO. I've not even learned SEO, right? But it all depends on how well you write the content, and you should know mentally in your words like what keywords work the best. What do you think will work best on Google? Okay, just think of it in this way. If you had to search up this particular topic on Google, supposing your client is someone in the food industry, right? And if you somehow, for some reason, random day, you had to look up this particular topic on the website, how would you search for it? What keywords would you use to actually search it up on the net? Think of those things. It'll help you understand what you need to include in your website copy. It's the simplest method. But yes, that I'm not discouraging you. Of course, if you want to learn SEO, please go ahead. That's not what I'm saying. If you want to, then yes, go ahead. It will give you a better sense of understanding. It will help you create better content. It will make you get a better sense of things. So please do go ahead.
I have a question that do you think long form copy works on a website?
It does, depending on what the topic and topic is about, what the business is about. It'll work. For example, for tech related products, it definitely works, because I have gone so many times on, supposing like I'm into digital like things and electronics and gadgets a lot. So when I go on a website, I check out the entire specifications, the entire descriptions of how it is, how the build is, how the model is, what the memory is like. Is it resistant to things? I go through each and every line which is in that website. So it depends on what, again, if it's something about real estate, I wouldn't read it. If it's something about travel, again, yes, I would read the entire thing. It depends on what your topic is. Depending on that, long form content would definitely work.
So basically, long form content is an in detailed explanation about the topic, right?
Right. Long form content is in detail, like I said, the essay type of content which you write. But again, there's a way to make it attractive. Just because it's long form doesn't mean that it has to be boring, right? Like I said, it can be long form, but break it down. Break it down into phrases, paragraphs, bullet points, graphic images, anything you like. Just you can even talk to your client. Maybe they have something in their mind already which you don't know about. So always communication is key. Like understand what they want. Always keep them in the loop. Like at every stage, just ask them, how are you liking it so far? Do you want me to make any changes? If that's what you're comfortable with. Or at least create your first initial draft and then talk to them that, hey, this is the first draft. let me know what changes you want. And then after the first draft is made, your client also gets an idea of, they're able to visualize what the website is going to look like. So accordingly, they'll tell you the edits if they have any. So a lot of times these clients don't know exactly what they want until they see the content. So once they see it, they'll get an idea. So yeah.
We have a question that is there a specific framework that needs to be followed for a website copy?
There's not any specific framework, but I think it's best you form one on your own, because every writer works differently, right? I think this is very much related to what my next topic was, I think, to be honest, about the process of website content and how you actually approach people and things like that. So this framework is also related to how you approach clients. So I'm going to kind of incorporate the two topics of how you approach clients regarding this and how you're supposed to decide the framework as well, right? So whenever you get a client for website content, there's a couple of basic questions you always need to ask, right? First of all, what is your business all about? You need to know, you need to do your thorough research when you're into website content, because if you don't know what they do, you might end up screwing up things and writing something which is not relevant at all. So you need to know, like for example, I recently did a website for a MotoGP racing team, and I have zero clue about that. And I had to do my thorough research, and now I know a lot about that. It's very important. So ask them what their business is about. What do they do? Second thing, ask what do they want to do with this website? Do they just want to keep it as a dormant website? Or are they using this website for lead generation? Are they trying to reach out to more people? Are they just using it just for marketing to build their brand name? There's a couple of different possibilities, right? So ask them that. Then ask them who or what their target audience is, right? All of this plays an important role. So if they tell that target audience is someone above the age of 40, for example, and you can't write content which is more relatable to teenagers and 20 to 30-year-olds. Even the way you write, the writing style changes in that. So you need to make sure of that. Okay. Then you need to ask them the more specific details. Are you looking for a single page or multi-page? Again, a lot of people won't know what it is. You have to explain. And then you need to ask them, if it's a multi-page, how many pages are you looking for? And do you want to list out your services? Do you need in detailed services, in detailed descriptions for each of your services and products? Or do you just want one-liners? Do you want to keep it short and simple, or do you want to keep it long form? So basically, all of these questions, put it into a Google form, send it out in the starting itself. It will solve half of your work. And then you can just talk to them all about this when you get on a call with them. So these questions will help you create a framework later on. So once you get all of this, you get an idea. You get your framework also. Okay, you have to create 5 pages. Homepage is important. They're going to put banner images in 3 pages out of 5, for example, hypothetically. Then on page 3, they want to include more images of their company and their products to make it come out better. On page 5, on contact us page, they want to put another button which leads them to their payment gateway, for example. I'm just giving all hypothetical situations. So I would have gotten all these answers based off of that one Google form. So this is already giving you a structure. And after this, based on all of this, create your outline, do your research based on what reference websites they give you and what links they give you. And then create your outline, go ahead, make your edits, make your drafts. It just goes about that.
Right. And
somehow getting more questions than I'm able to answer right now. Okay.
Right. There is some situations when clients already have a website and they want the improvement in that website content only. Mm-hmm. Like they don't want to build it from scratch, and they want the improvement in that specific content. So there was like a situation when they asked me that what do you think the website can be improved, like how it can be improved and what specific improvements would you do. So like how to analyze that, I was a bit confused at that time. I did told them some of the changes that can be done, but obviously we have to we need some time to look out at the website, look out at different website, and do some research to actually know ki iski place pe what we can have better, right? So how to actually analyze and answer them to this if they don't have any
Okay.
idea, in fact. Matlab, they have a website, but they want an improvement for the same.
So first of all, to be honestly, when people ask you to analyze things, you need a day or two. Honestly, you don't need a day, but you can tell them you need a day, but I don't do that. So there's a trick which you can use here. So when someone asks you that, tell them that, okay, I'll tell you, I've done my observation. I can tell you what I've noted down. But before that, I would like to know certain things from you. Tell this. And then ask them, what do you... you can either ask them, what do you think is lacking in your website? And for this answer, most people won't know the answer. So tell them, what would you like to incorporate in your website? To your existing website, if you were to get it revamped, what would you like to include, or what would you like to see? Or what do you think is not working out for your website? They'll give some answer, right? Based on that, they'll give 1 or 2 points. Use that in your answer at that point. If it's that much, because a lot of times, a lot of high ticket clients come to you and say this just to check how you're going to do. If you tell them you're going to take time, I need a day, they might not agree. So use this trick so that, for that time being, you will also get an understanding of what the client actually wants. And obviously, I think even you would have 1 or 2 points based on your observation as to, okay, you can make these changes. You can make this, supposing this particular page, you can make it a little more accurate instead of so informative, so that it's more to the point. Give your 2 cents as well, right? But other than that, ask them what they want and use that in your answer. That's something you need to, it helps you make the revamping better as well, or else they won't have any clue. And when you're sitting down to write, you won't know what to write because you don't know what they want. So only if you know what they want, you can actually sit and write a nice copy according to what they want. If they're clueless, I'll tell, please find out what you want first and then come back to me. I've done that so many times because I tell them, see, supposing Mr. A, okay, I'll tell Mr. A, please tell me what are your exact requirements. You have your existing website. Tell me what you'd like to improve on it, or tell me what you'd like to add to it, or tell me what is it that you'd like to see, so that I can make changes accordingly, or keep that in mind while I'm making the new copy. So when you tell that, it seems more professional as well, and they will, at least if not the whole thing, they'll give you 1 or 2 pointers of what they think they want to include.
Right, and sometimes it also happens that they want to rechange the website just because they aren't getting any leads through that website. So they say things like ki, we have set up the website, but we aren't getting leads. So what changes in the content can be done so that we get more leads and more of the customers, like things like that. So that actually confused, because at one moment, how we can say that this particular type of content change can lead to more customers or something. This is
where copywriting comes into play. This is where copywriting comes into play again. So when they say this, and okay, this particular person you're talking about, they know something's wrong with their content. That's good. So take a look at the content, see what it is. So in 90% of these cases, the content is not well written, or it's not meant for the target audience, or it's not compelling enough. So you just have to, like, how that ice cream example I gave you, just do it in that way. You have to make it compelling enough that like you want to go ahead. You want to go ahead, at least if not buy the product, at least to get on a call with someone from the company. That's also one form of lead gen. Right? At least if they go to that contact us page, it depends on what the company is again about. If they want to book a call or if they want to buy a product, it depends on that. But again, I think you need to work on all the copywriting skills that you have for that. That it's 99% of the time that. The problem is the copy. It's not well written, so you just have to rewrite it. And you can pretty much, you can tell them, okay, give me maybe half an hour, we can get on a call again and I'll tell you my points. I'll tell you what we can do regarding this. You can tell them that it's okay to take time. You can take a day also, in fact. Tell them that, okay, give me a day, let me analyze your website and I'll let you know about what we can do to make the content better, to help you get better leads. You can tell them that, it's completely fine. But just be prompt and get back to them the next day. Don't delay, because if you delay, then it'll seem like unprofessional. So always be on time.
And yeah, that was my question. Like, should we take the audience questions now? Like, I can see so of them.
Okay, where were we?
Okay, yes. This is a question. Do you think layman language goes the best, or do people actually like fancy words?
I personally do not like fancy words. I always recommend my clients keep it simple, keep it understandable, because if your content is not relatable, no one's going to come to your website. Even I keep myself in their shoes, right? If I was a customer and I went onto these people's website, if it's an all some fancy mumbo jumbo, I would be like, what is this? I don't even know what they're trying to tell me. So keep it simple, but keep it, attractive, so that you can understand it, but it makes you want to go for the next step. It makes you want to click on the next page. It makes you want to at least book a call. It makes you want to at least go see, okay, acha, what products do these people have? But always keep it simple. Always.
Like, yeah, definitely. Matlab, simple in a language that people understand and analyze that what is actually the company offering and what I can get from the company.
Unless it's a technical website. If it's a technical website, if it's like something related to any electronic gadgets or something, go into the specifications. People love that. Like the more in detail you write about technical, like product reviews, for example, supposing you're writing about an iPhone, please write it in detail. Don't write, acha, this is a red colored iPhone and the product red color and so and so. No, go into the specifications of what it has, what features it has. So in tech related things, those features are the main selling point. So that is what you need to use for your copywriting. But this is only for the electronic part, which I'm talking about, tech related things.
I just wanted to ask that fintech companies also come in this part also, like the fintech companies of real estate or the share market and all.
That's a very debatable question, honestly. I don't think I have the right answer to that, because it's in between. It's technical in between terms. Yeah, it's in between. So in such cases, what you do is, when the technical terms are there, that time go in detail, because I have written for such things. And where there are other parts where there's not a lot of technical stuff involved, go simple. Do a mix, do a combo of both. So that works best in that.
How do you do audience research while writing web copy?
Audience research. This you wouldn't have to do if you have very good communication with your client. First of all, you don't have to do a lot of audience research. So first and foremost, get all of the resources from your clients. Past, present, future, whatever plans they have. Tell them, I want your existing website details. Tell them you want your target audience details. I have asked my clients so many times, what are your who are your competitors? People don't give it out. I have to sign an agreement with them saying that, okay, I'm not going to leak out any information. Which I'm under so many privacy agreements, but it helps to get better quality content. So always ask, who are your competitors? Okay, why do you think they are better than you? And what do you think you could incorporate from that into your website? So that time you already have your resources. You have the names of the competitors. You don't have to do a lot of research. Go onto their websites. See what they have. What are they doing different than these people? Right? You don't have to do extensive research that time. Try to get the most out of your clients. Always, communication is key. A lot of people don't even ask questions to their clients. Ask every single detail. I probably have so many messages in my phones. Like I send out audio notes to my clients. I send out messages at midnight also. It doesn't matter. Feel free to ask them how many ever questions you have. Even once your edits are over, if you're still not satisfied, keep asking questions until you're done with it. But other than that, Google is your go-to. I mean, that's the simplest way. Just use keywords of your client, what they're into. Use the main keywords and use that as a base for your research.
Right. And hope it answers the question. We have the question that what has been your experience with ranking a website successfully?
Again, this is quite related to the previous question. See, ranking again, you have to, this is also related to SEO slightly. You just need to know what keywords work best for you and your content placement on the page. You know, how you place if you can't, for example, you don't want to directly write all product related stuff on your homepage. It's like how, you know, if you open your LinkedIn and you've received a friend request, a connection request, you accept it, and directly some person is throwing their blog at you telling, please write a review. It's going to be like that, you know, always. So content placement is very important, and also the keywords which you use. Make sure to do a little bit of research on the keywords of that particular domain, of that niche, of whichever space you're writing for. It all depends on that, honestly. But I guess it's also a lot on their social media. You need to, that's how you get extra work as well. There's so many times when these people don't know how to, they have a solid, excellent website, but they're not getting leads. Why? It's because they don't have a good social media strategy. So that's when you come into play. This is a little trick, but what you can do is tell them, okay, the website is good to go. And a lot of times, you know, you asked me the earlier question that they have a good website, right? They're not getting lead generation, you told me. Check the social media. So a lot of times I've done that. I tell them that, okay, your website is already very good. It's pretty good. The problem you have is in your social media strategy. And that's why you're not getting enough leads to get them back to come and click on your website. And if you want, I can do so and so for you. And then you'll actually get the project for social media management instead of website, but it's still work is work. Sometimes you get both. They still want to revamp their website and they'll want to take you in for social media work as well. Right? So, but most of the times it's also social media. You need to look at how they're marketing their services. But my experience, yeah, I've done the same. I've used I've converted them using the social media strategy, and it helped to take their website up in rank wise.
Right. So, what was your biggest learning in all these years? Just me to ask this question.
My biggest learning, well, there's a lot of things, but number one is patience, especially with clients. You need to have a lot of patience. You're going to deal with a lot of different kinds of clients. They're going to be, nice ones, clients who throw tantrums, clients who are never on time, clients who delay payments, clients who are over-prompt and give you 100% advance. You know, there's all different kinds of clients. You need to be patient. Each one has their own way of communication, own way of dealing with you. So that's one of the biggest things, to not lose out on clients. I get a lot of messages saying, I'm losing out on clients, or I lost a project. You need to know how to deal with them. And for that, you need patience. It's going to take you a long way.
How do you write content for a travel blog based website when your client is from another country in order to create a content that locals can do?
Okay. So this is actually fairly simple because it's related to travel, and there's too much travel and tourism websites right now. And all of them already have existing content, right? Even if you're not from the same country as they are. Supposing you're in India, they're in US. Okay, not US. Let's go for Europe, because they have great places. So if you're trying to write for some travel blog or travel website in US, just go through all the, there's a lot of e-magazines as well. That's one of the great resources for travel-based blogs, I would say. All these e-magazines and brochures, e-brochures, you get them a lot. And all these websites, they already have existing content. So do your research. And plus, these guys usually give you a lot of the content pre-written. It's always the case that in travel, they always give you pre-written content because they have a certain itinerary which they want to put in, or they want to highlight a certain place which has certain key features. They'll always give you pre-written requisites. So always go for that. That I would say these brochures and other blogs and all of these, those are great resources for you to go to. Also ask them questions. They'll be more than happy to tell you, especially people from other countries are very sweet. They'll take all the time in the world to, all these international clients, they take the time to answer you. So always don't be afraid to ask questions.
Okay, so if client wants article for PageRank, then what should we keep in mind? Like, I guess you have answered this.
I think this, I've already answered this.
Right. I was thinking the same. Because
this is also an SEO issue. It is, Udlak, it is an SEO issue, not just the copy. I think this was for the previous answer which I gave. It's true. Yeah.
Okay. How to write a copy based on target TG? What do you mean by TG?
It's a target. How to base? It's
Maybe
it's again all. Yeah. Sorry.
Maybe he can unmute himself and ask.
Yeah. There's Chaitra.
Yeah. Hi Aishwarya. How are you doing?
Hi Chaitra. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So basically, my question is, how do you write copy based on the TG when your client doesn't give you much details regarding the competitors or what their USP is and things like that? Like if they don't give you proper information on what the product is and other things like that, so how do you carry the copywriting from there?
Okay. So this is when you're going to have to do a little more extensive research. So there are clients who give you pretty much pre-written links and all of that. Some people don't. Like you said, they don't give you anything. They'll tell you, this is my website. This is my domain. I want you to write the copy. There's a lot of people who tell this. And they might or might not tell you the target audience, right? So for this, you have to do a little bit of extensive research. It is going to take your time because if you don't get these accurate, it might become a problem. And let me tell you now, for these more extensive research, you definitely can charge them extra. Because you're doing extra research, I always tell them this, that because you're not giving me other references and links, it's going to be this X amount more. And they agree because they're not giving me any resources, right? So always charge them extra for this. Again, see maybe what competitors they have, right? This particular, for some X company, see what other competitor companies they have, go to their websites, right? See what they have. And then again, see what are the main features they've used, right? For they would have given like 5-6 features. Every website has those. They would have given 5-6 important features or something. Use those keywords, use them as keywords, go to Google and do a little more extensive research. Write it down what you think would relate best for this company, this client which you have. Okay. And that's how you have to do, like singling out, like you basically go point one, go to the competitor thing, then scan through their entire website, understand their thing, find those main keywords, key features, key services, or things like that, and then use that. Again, sometimes they might not be accurate. You have to again do second round of extensive research. So again, Google about it. They have different meanings. Sometimes one word in, especially I did recently a website for something called Lean Solutions. Now, Lean Solutions has 10,000 meanings to it. And I had to do so much research on it, because you can't put in the wrong meaning for something else. You have to make sure you're using the right one. So just do extensive research on this using the keywords. And then once you're done, don't start writing the first draft. Put down all these points and get on a call, get on a meeting with your client again. Ask them that, hey, this is what I found out. Is this relevant and is this accurate to what you were looking for? If so, then I'm going to create an outline and give it to you accordingly. And based on that, I'll start creating the first draft. Like in such cases, like communicate a little more with your clients, get on more meetings and ask questions. You don't want to end up writing the entire draft and then just to find out that everything was completely wrong and you have to restart. It's just a waste of your time and they're not going to pay you double just because you did the wrong work. So just make it from the beginning.
Fair enough. And one more thing. So how do you decide on the tonality of the copy?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
How do you decide on the tonality of the copy? Like, for example, let's say if the TG we figure out is 40 plus. So, I mean, is it based on the TG or how do we decide on the tone?
It's honestly not. You have to ask your client about this because a lot of times what happens is even though their existing content or the content they have in mind is a little more formal, they'll tell we want it to be a little more informal. We want it a little more fun. For example, like you said, if the TG is someone like above 40 or something like that, right? We might think, okay, above 40, 50-year-olds, maybe we should keep it a little serious, a little more informative for them to understand. And then I once spoke to this client where they said, no, we wanted to make it more fun and vibrant because nowadays people above 40 or 50 are much more vibrant than us, right? So we want you to make it more fun and colorful and more cheerful, and it should be more like the ads you see on TV. It should be like all just bright and like outright like copywriting sales. So you just always ask in the beginning itself. This is one of the first questions I ask when I get on a client call, that what do you want the tone of your website to be? You want it formal? You want it informal? You want it semi-formal? Or do you have anything else in mind? Always ask them in the beginning. You never know what they have in mind unless you ask questions. And they won't be able to give you the answers if you don't ask them the right questions. Because they don't know what you really need to write a copy. They'll just think, okay, we'll give you the links and you'll write some words and you'll give them. That's a very common myth, but they don't know that you need to know all these things in advance. So make sure to have all these questions in hand.
Fair enough. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Right. So I just have a follow-up question for this, that you just told that we should ask so much of questions, so much of research and making an outline for ourselves, right? So just wanted to ask that when we get on a call with the client, these things are done before finalizing the project or after finalizing? Like when we...
Before. Okay. Always before. So what you do, let me tell you. Step 1, the client approaches you or you approach the client, right? And so then what you do, send them a Google form. Like when they're okay with going ahead with you and they want to see if you can work further and all of that, send them this Google form with all of these basic questions, which I told in the beginning of this call, right? And then once you get them, by the time you get them, do a little bit of research on their company and what they do. Go to their social media profiles, see what they've been doing so far or what sort of audience they're actually attracting. Like in that also, like see, you'll get to know the target audience based on what sort of people are commenting or getting attracted to their content. Like observe their social media profiles and all of that. Do a little research on the person you're talking to as well. That's also important. See what they've been doing so far. Just a little bit, not too much. Just briefly, just look at that. And then once they send you this Google form back with all of the answers, go through it. You're a little bit prepared at least. You're not going in blindly into this call. So you're prepared, and based off of those answers which they've given, you are bound to get doubts because they wouldn't have given complete answers. You are definitely 200% going to get doubts. So those doubts and those extra questions, then write them down and then get on the call. So that way, when you get on the call, you're prepared. You know a little bit about them. And it even helps in small talk. You can't get on a call and directly say, okay, let's get down to business. No, please never do that. Build a relationship with your client. Just ask them, how are you doing? This thing, that thing. I recently saw that maybe if something they've done in their company, just tell, I recently saw that your company launched this new feature. That's a great thing. Just start with small talk. All of this research helps with that. And then get into the questions. Tell that, hey, okay, now I saw all of the answers that you gave me on the Google form. And based upon that, I have a few things which I need you to answer. And then go ahead and ask them. Clear all of these things before you even sign the contract. Once you're through with them, and then they're okay with everything. See, based on all of these answers only, you can decide on the pricing. If you do this later, you can't. If you don't know these answers, how will you know whether you have to do minimal research or extensive research? And obviously, the price varies for both. So all of this is before you decide your pricing and the contract and all of that.
Right. So before actually knowing about the project, like after knowing about the project, we will get on finalizing on giving them a quote for the same, and then going ahead with the project with more research and everything else, right? Okay. So
I have a doubt. Can I ask?
Of course, yeah. Go ahead.
How can we find more clients on LinkedIn, and how can we set, how can we ask whether they will pay for us or not, or something like that? Should we, ask for advance? Because I have heard that they just get certain clients, they just get the work done and they don't pay you back. So how can we, find out whether they will pay us or not? Should we ask for an advance?
Okay.
And how can we find clients? That is the thing.
So first of all, let me say that regardless of...
And how can we find out whether they are fake or not? These questions I have. Thank you.
Okay. So first of all, regardless of who the client is, always ask for an advance. Never think that, okay, who can I ask for an advance or not? No, never. Any client, no matter if the project is even for like 1,000 rupees, or if it is for 20,000 rupees, or if it's for 50,000 rupees, regardless of whatever it is, always ask for an advance. It can, based upon your preferences, 50% advance, 100% advance, whichever it is, but always ask for something. Don't go without it, right? And how to get clients? I mean, I've been telling this for 3 years now. I'm going to say the same thing. You need to showcase your skills out there. People need to know that you're there and what you're capable of, right? So so first of all, like I said, you have to optimize your profile, your bio section, your photo, your banner, the standard, right? All of that, make it up to date. Trust me, people look at your profile page more than you even know. They check out what you've written. They even analyze how well, because you say you're a writer, they will analyze how well you've actually written your bio section. So you need to keep all of those things in mind. So update your entire section, right? Next thing is just start networking. Start networking and engaging in other comments and posts. Like see how people have written. Just check out the other posts. Observe their styles of writing. Every person, in fact, I see a couple of people here whose posts I see regularly. Each of them have a different writing style. Each of them have a different approach to writing. Observe all of that. That will help you in your own posts as well. And, engage with their post. Write some meaningful comment which will actually make sense. Don't tell just... I receive so many comments in my post saying just nice or great or things like that. That's not meaningful. I mean, what do I do with that? Just... if you have an input, a meaningful input, write that in the comments, because people observe what you write in the comments as well. Like these prospective clients, they actually follow your page for a long time and they won't tell you. They'll secretly be like scouting you or something. So they observe everything. So they even observe what kind of replies you give to people, how much you're being out there and all of that. So network, engage. And then obviously be consistent with posting. It doesn't have to be every single day. There's no such rule. Keep at least 2 days, 2 times a week, 3 times a week. Just post regularly. Make sure that just when you're writing those posts, that people will get to know about what you are. It doesn't have to be about content writing every time you put out a post. You can write even something, a personal story, it doesn't matter. But the way you write that personal story, people will observe, right? So just be consistent, and that is going to get clients to you. You don't have to do like outbound leads where you approach people. Right now I don't do that because people see the posts which I put out and they themselves approach me with the content. And when people approach you with work, they're always ready to pay, or at least most of the times they're ready to pay, right? Then when you get on a conversation, you asked about the fake clients thing, right? When you ask for an advance, if they're not ready to pay an advance, it's most likely that they're not going to pay you later. So always ask for an advance, at least 50%. Some people in India are not okay with 100% advance. So ask for 50% or ask for 75%, or just break it down into installments or something like that. And tell them that only once you receive that advance in your account, that's when you're going to start doing the project for them. Also, once the contract is signed as well. So tell them this. That's how you ward off fake clients. But the only thing I would say is post consistently. Only if they know you, they know your name, they know your content, people will know who you are and they'll approach you.
Okay, madam. Thank you. And for now, I'm like posting my certificate for the writing courses which I have attended, and also the anthologies for which I have written. I get a lot of certificates. The certificates I have posted, and now and then I post a copy that I have created for one businessman that I'm writing for now. So other than this, I can put any. I can create any kind of content and I can post, right? That is what you're trying to say, right?
You can put anything and everything, Deepti. In fact, let me tell you, I put out a lot of my personal stories sometimes, okay? It can be anything. There's Jasmeet here who puts out, he's a storyteller. He puts out stories and poems, right? There's Ruchi here. There's Ruchi here who's the marketer. She puts out other marketing related stuff. It can be anything.
And poetry I put out at times, now and then. So we can do that too. Even poetry. Creatives also is.
It can be anything you want. Even if you make creatives and carousels for your Instagram, for example, repurpose the same thing and put it on LinkedIn also. It doesn't matter. You can use the same thing, repurpose your content. You can tell about your personal stories. You can tell about your client stories. You can tell about your journey so far, or you can tell about what did you learn from the courses you're taking for now, for example. And if not, the best way, if you're not getting topics to talk about, search the relevant hashtags on LinkedIn. On the search bar on top and on the left bar section, just go to the trending topics or go to the relevant hashtags and see what people are talking about. Write something about that. You've got plenty of topics. If not, go to Quora. Go see the latest topics that people are talking about.
LinkedIn is a professional platform, right? So I thought only we could write only. It should be really professional. I cannot, upload creative content there. So that is how I thought. I think that was a misconception.
There is no such rule. If you don't put out creative content, how will people know that you can also write creative content? Put out your content. It's okay.
Very true. Yeah. Very true. Thank you so much, Aishwarya.
You're welcome.
Just adding to what you just said, you just told about the creative side, right? So Deepti told that she has been putting her certificates and everything. So I just wanted to tell that you can be creative in putting out that as well, because the caption says a lot, like the text post. Even if you are putting a certificate, that writing part would say a lot about your writing skills. Some people only write that I have achieved this certificate in this and this competition or anthology or something like that. But some people elaborate that. And that is what I like that the most, that they elaborate where they find the certificate, how did they find, what skills required, what did they learn from achieving that certificate and everything. So that is how we can create content out of content. This is what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So questions. There was a question that what are the copyright laws in the content? How to safeguard it?
Copyright laws in content in general. That's a very debatable topic again. You have to be careful with what you use. It's as simple as that. First of all, copyright laws only come in when you plagiarize something, right? A lot of times you get like a strikeout because you've copied some company's content, and then you will be held responsible for it. First of all, so means be authentic, be original. All the images you use, the graphics you use, even for your personal posts, make sure to take them from free websites or something. Please don't take copyrighted ones because you will get into trouble. I tell them, I handle a couple of social media clients, right? Like their Instagram and all. Even one single image you use, make sure it's from the free website. You like, it's very basic. There's no laws as such. Just make sure you're using content which you're allowed to use. You don't want to get into trouble with the law right now. I mean, that's as simple as that. Use your free resources. Don't call a lot. This usually occurs only when you plagiarize. I've had a few people approach me where they take this block of content from a website or from someone else's blog or whatever it is. They rewrite one sentence in between. They just interchange the words from left to right, right to left, and that's about it. It's still considered plagiarism. You can find out that it's copied. So copyright laws, I've written a blog if you need. There you go. Please approach Simran. She has more knowledge on this one, I guess. Simran Kapoor has more. She's written on copyright laws. So guys who have doubts regarding that, please approach her.
Ma'am, request? Can you share your LinkedIn link, ma'am?
Mine?
For your profile?
Of course, yeah, I'll do that.
Sure. Thank you.
So we have, who should we follow on LinkedIn to learn personal branding?
Oh, good luck. I think you know the answer to that. Honestly, I'm not going to take any specific names. Just follow people who are doing really well in the industry. See what they're doing right, because they've built a personal brand on their own, right? See what they're doing right. See the kind of content they're putting out. That will give you. I'm not going to take any names as of now. Just.
So yeah, last question from my side. That how do you deal with the pricing of the website content? Like it is done on. Most people have these doubt that it is done on per word basis or per project basis or per page basis. So how do you actually finalize it?
So always my advice is never go for per word or per hour for websites. It will never work out. So a lot of clients will tell you that give us your per word rate for websites. It does not work because website content works differently, where the kind of research done is different, and there's a lot of other things involved, right? The editing is different, and alignment is different, and there's a lot of other things involved. So always, first of all, go for per project basis. I'm not going to give you an exact number of how much you should charge, but keep a baseline in your mind. Like regardless of any website project, tell them that, okay, you're going to start, for example, you can tell, okay, my website content charges start from 10,000 rupees onwards. Just a hypothetical number I'm giving, right? And it is subject to change depending on your requirements and your needs for that website. You can tell them that. So that means you can still change the price later, but just that your base price is 10,000 rupees. And how you can come to this conclusion is, first of all, see how many pages they need, right? See if they're looking for a single page or they're looking for a multi-page. Majority people go for a multi-page website. When they do that, see how much they're doing in each page, right? See, homepage usually is very small and lesser content, but it is the most important page. You are going to put all of your, whatever the copywriting skills into that one page, because the homepage is the most important, regardless of whether it's less or more content. So that is one of the most chargeable pages. And then when it comes to product or services, some people, I've written a website content for someone who had 15 products in their thing, 15 or 17, I believe. I charged them for each page as I went on. I was like, boss, you have so many. I'm going to charge X amount. But again, like some products, they might want only 2 lines description. Some they might want like 5 paragraphs or something. You need to decide how much you're going to charge if there's lesser content in one page, or how much it's you're going to charge if there's more in a particular page. So I would say start by going page wise, but see how much content there's required on each page, and based on that, like page 1 X amount, page 2 X amount, and then just go for the cumulative amount. And then tell them, okay, this is the total project amount, which I'm going to tell you. You don't need to tell them the breakdown. Don't ever tell your clients the breakdown that this is what I'm charging for per page. Just tell them this is the total X amount I'm charging. That's it. You don't need to justify as to why you're charging that much. But you need to experiment with your pricing that way. I can't give an exact number because every writer is different.
In case if they ask that how come you go with us X amount for the whole project, in that case, I guess we have to explain them. No?
Usually they won't. If they tell you, if they ask you how did you come to this conclusion or why are you charging so much, you can tell them, you can tell them that it is based on the number of pages, along with the content you are looking for in each page, along with the research involved behind this, because I'm going to have to spend a considerable amount of time. And it also involves the editing behind this, right? There's a lot of things involved. So you can break that. Don't break down the amount. Don't give them the amount breakdown. Give them your work breakdown. Like give them what you're doing, your editing, your researching, and there's a lot of other things, right? You're doing the process, you're creating an outline, you're giving content strategies in between. There's a lot of other things. So break that down instead.
Okay. Yeah, so that was my questions. I guess Simran had questions. She just wrote it down before you came. So she can like unmute herself and ask the questions. Hi Simran, are you still there? I guess she isn't. Okay.
She is.
Yeah, we have a question that charging some extra sometimes means losing them for the next time.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that. See, first of all, this is all based on your confidence. It's a mindset. You need to think that, okay, charging less, charging more, that's not. You need to think, these are my prices. These are my charges. This is how much I'm going to charge. You need to put, don't let it show to your clients that you're okay with negotiating. Be confident that, okay, do you go to a Nike showroom and, if they tell a shoe is like 4,000 rupees, do you tell them like, bhaiya, can I get it for 2,500? And they'll tell you, no, this is the price, this is the market price, take it or leave it. It's like that. And just because they're charging more doesn't mean you won't go back next time. No, you will go. Why? Because it's a brand. You're going for the quality, right? It's the same rule applies here. So just because you're charging extra means that next time also you're going to charge that much itself, probably more. I mean, if my client from 1 year ago comes to me now, obviously my rates would have increased by now. So probably I'm going to charge them more than last time. So that doesn't mean you're going to lose out on the client, but just give them quality content. Never lose the quality of what you're giving them. That's what, it makes it or breaks it. Depending on that, these clients, you can even convert them into a retainer client. A 1 month client might turn into a 6 month, 7 month client also. Just It's all about how you approach it.
Okay. Yeah. Hope it answers the question. I guess that was all the questions we had. If anyone has any
Someone
questions.
who's written 0.5 paise per word is okay. No, there is no concept of 0.5 paise anymore at all. Please, if you're starting out as a beginner, my suggestion is, if you're going by the per word basis, start with 1 rupee minimum. That's your baseline. There's no paisa doesn't exist anymore in the writing world. So just start with 1 rupee and move your way upwards. Okay. And then when you're comfortable, you can move on to per hour basis or per project basis, or whichever you're comfortable with. Right now, I don't charge per word anymore. I charge per project, but that's because I know my pricing right now based off of 3 years of experience. So as you go on, you will get to know what you're comfortable with, what your clients are comfortable with, and all of that. So, but yeah, not 0.5, please.
Make the blogs as a reference.
Can we make, I'm not sure I understood that one. Can we make the blogs as a reference? Yeah, thanks. Sorry, can you please let me know what you meant?
Okay, so for example, if we are making content for a company, so the company, for example, if it is a FMCG company, so the company people who are working in an FMCG sector means the competitors. So if there is any marketer who is writing blogs, so we can take reference from them. That is what I was asking.
See, you can take reference, but don't copy is what I'm saying. Because see, it's very common. I get your question because FMCG is like the products are very common. Everyone has the same thing going on. Everyone has the same content. If someone's written blogs, take reference, but don't write the same thing. That's where the plagiarism issue starts. So think of what spin you can bring to it. Think of how you can put it across in a new way to the market. That's what the client really wants, right? So of course you can take reference, take inspiration, but don't use the exact same thing. How do I write better copy for social media posts? Where do I start? Okay, this is very simple. Go find some existing social media posts which you find are brilliant from your favorite brands or whatever, and try to rewrite those copies in your own way. Make 3 or 4 copies of each. If you like Apple, go to the social media things of Apple and write those copies in a couple of different ways. See what you like and don't like after, and then leave it for a day. After you write all these different versions of each copies, leave it aside for a day. Don't touch it. Okay, trust me, it helps. After 1 or 2 days, go back to the copies you've written. Then open up that book or wherever that we've written it down and look at what you've written. Because when you give a gap, you kind of refresh your mind in between, right? And then when you come back to it, you look at it in a new perspective. Then see what you like and you don't like in those copies. Then see if you can mix and match 2 or 3 of the things you've written into one new form of copy. That's the best way. Just see how you can rewrite existing copies of any brands that you find out there.
How do I write?
You write a full length article for your blog or website. Can you post the same entire article in LinkedIn, Medium, or any other social platforms? Why not? It's up to you. It's your article. Do what you want. Of course you can. Whichever platform you use. If you're using LinkedIn, make sure you use the right hashtags so that you can drive the right traffic in. Make use of the LinkedIn algorithm. LinkedIn algorithm, it considers only the first 3 or 4 hashtags which you use. It considers everything, but the first 3 or 4 hashtags which you use are considered more in LinkedIn. So same with Instagram, I would say. So use relevant hashtags and then you can drive the traffic. But of course, you can use the same articles.
How do I write? Come up with better social media ideas.
How do I write or come up with better social media ideas? go for the trending topics, which I think you're already doing. But go for the trending topics and then put your own spin on it, I would say. Because everyone, like, for example, the recent whole stock debacle which came out, everyone was putting it out in the same boring manner that, okay, this happened, this happened, this happened. But try to put it out in a different way. You have the topic. You just have to put a spin on it and present it to the society in a different manner. It's like ideas are always there. Just go with the trending topics. Go to Quora. Go to the trending topics on LinkedIn, I guess. Or else just use Google News for all the latest updates. How do I write better LinkedIn posts? Keep writing consistently. You will get to know, like right now, because I've been doing consistently, I know what mistakes I made in the first year of my freelancing versus my third year. I know what I did better now. Like I know what improvements I need to make based on the old posts that I've written. You just have to keep writing and observe other people's content. See the content which, the really good people which are putting it out, right? Certain names are doing really good in LinkedIn. Go follow their posts, see how they're writing and what they're doing right, and see what you're doing wrong. Try to incorporate that. It'll help you.
How can a newbie develop his or her portfolio in case of copywriting? I guess you just gave an idea of rewriting.
I just gave the answer to that.
So, yeah, I guess the questions are over. And we have also like 1.5 hour session almost. But yeah, it was worth it.
Oh God.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aishwarya.
I did not notice the time.
For such an insightful session. And
you're welcome. Thank you for all your questions, everyone. If any of you want to talk to me right now or switch on your cameras or talk to me, feel free to do so. I'd love to talk to you. If not, you guys can just contact me later on LinkedIn, on WhatsApp, whichever.
Maybe you can put your LinkedIn profile link.
Or will actually. Hold on, let me just get that. 1 second.
Thought of asking you again.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Thought of asking you again for a LinkedIn.